Welcome to the Rock Guitar Confidential Podcast with Ryan and Scott. So, is being unprofessional and flaky just part of being a musician? Is it not? We discuss next. Classic old thing. Yeah.
So if a bass line is being played,
Does anyone care?
in the forest or anywhere,
Exactly.
does anyone care?
No, the answer is no. No one cares. I don't care how cool your bass line is. I mean, that's even a thing. So
Yeah.
I will not be associated with assuming the bass players matter or bass lines matter in any way.
Yes, well, indeed. Well, yeah. So just whatever you do, don't tell anybody I'm composing some bass lines for an acoustic pop project.
I'm pretty sure this won't get out.
Yeah, just don't let that get out.
Yeah, exactly, because it could ruin your complete reputation, man.
It absolutely could.
Someone look like, this guy seems like a bass player, and like somewhere back in their mind they're thinking that, like, I don't know about this.
Absolutely could. So
this guy feels like he can play bass and not hate himself for it. I got the feeling.
It's my dirty little secret.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like when you go down to Auburn Boulevard at 2 a.m.
Right. Or Watt Avenue.
Watt Avenue. Okay, I don't know. I don't know where the prostitution is, but
well, you know what? I went to go deposit some money over at the Safe Credit Union on Watt Avenue the other night.
Is that what they're calling her now?
Yeah, that's code.
You had to make a deposit.
I had to make a little deposit. Yeah, totally. I just had to stick the deposit right in there. I stuck my deposit right in there.
It came back and the bills were all wrinkled. That's weird.
And so then I stuck it again, and
had to work, right? So
I told the I was just telling the ATM, like, you take it. Here's my deposit.
When you put your card in there, you're putting the card in everyone else's card's been there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I put a little bit of saran wrap over my card first. It's like it's like a dam.
That's a barrier between, it's a barrier method.
Yeah, well, it's important when using the ATM to use deposit contraception.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, terrible things can happen. Viruses,
yes, absolutely.
All kinds of terrible things.
You've got to, So, when you're self-employed and you have to go to the ATM often.
Yeah. It's true.
Right.
What you have to do, it's how you get up in the morning.
Yes, you have to make prophylactic considerations.
Exactly. It's funny that I literally in my head completely can conflate the idea that being a bass player is just exactly equivalent to everything we just talked about. Like, oh my God, you must hate yourself so much. You must have no will to have a good life or something.
Yeah, right. You're just hanging out at the vape shop on Watt Avenue.
I just keep thinking I've said this before, and it's really funny. Like, no one chooses to be a bass player. Like, bass players are chosen. Being a bass player is chosen for you.
Yeah, kind of. Right.
The band's like, you know what? I don't think the 6-string thing is working out so much. Let's go and see how you do with 4 strings.
Well, how many times have you had a student be like, yeah, I've been trying to teach my buddy guitar, but it's just not really working out. and you reply with something along the lines of, dude, don't worry. Now your band has a bass player.
Exactly, right. Whoever can't hack the 6 strings is going to end up being on the bass. You know what I mean? Like, okay, here you go. You're only going to need one finger for this one. Just move that finger around, and there you go.
Oh my God.
That's I wish that wasn't so, but it really is. That cliche is so true on so many levels. There's no such thing as a no, that's not true. There's the Billy Sheens of the world. There's the Lemmys of the world. And,
there's the Victor Wootens.
Yeah, and there's in the rock world though. I mean, you got
in the rock world.
Steve Harris's.
Jazz fusion has tons of great bass players.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because then it's not as guitar dominant, jazz fusion as rock and metal is. But I mean that you got obviously a lot of people consider like Weather Report to be the greatest fusion. Oh my God, did your pop filter just?
Yeah, my pop filter.
Oh my God, you're going to be popping all over the place.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to be popping and locking. So I'm going to try and handle this technical difficulty as we continue.
This is as good as it gets for technical difficulty, though, I got to say.
Well, actually, Racer X's album technical difficulties.
You're not wrong.
That
is an awesome record. I remember when that album came out, being so excited that Paul Gilbert was playing metal again.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, Paul Gilbert's playing a Racer X album. This is unbelievable, and because that was in the dark heart of the late '90s, early 2000s, when it was not cool in any way to play Mr. Big type music. I mean, outside of Japan. And maybe parts of Europe, it wasn't cool at all to be that. So, but I mean, Racer X, such a good band. If you guys out there listening don't know Racer X, that's Paul Gilbert on guitar, Scott Travis on drums, obviously Bruce Boulay on second guitar, Jeff Martin on lead vocals, and then
although Bruce Boulay wasn't on technical difficulties.
But he's on like the classic old
Yeah, right,
school,
the classic lineup.
old school.
Monster guitar player.
Yeah, I think he came back and he did the tours for that though, if I'm not mistaken. I think if there's any
Did he?
live
I
stuff.
thought he had like a carpal tunnel.
No,
issue
he's got
at
past
time.
that. He's playing. I think he did the last 2 tours with them.
Oh, okay. I was talking like circa, early 2000s.
I know that when Paul did the G3 thing, that
Uh-huh.
Bruce Boulay came out with second guitar on his when he did his set. So
yeah.
that'd been really cool. Man, he's a great guitar player too, man. In his own right, no doubt. I did Scream with freaking Karabi as the vocalist. He was in the guitar.
Yeah, I wish they would re-release that album.
Yeah.
Like, it's not available on streaming. It's not
there's a
available.
few albums like that. Have you noticed that you can't find? It's,
Yeah, well,
it's,
Badlands is like that. You can't get the Badlands.
Well,
albums.
there's reasons for that.
There's a
but-
dispute,
Yeah.
and like Ray Gillen fucked the wrong person and
persons
gave them AIDS.
Yeah,
Right,
and
yeah, so
their
that's-
families are threatening to sue Atlantic Records that they said they put it out.
Right, because then his estate would get royalties, and
Yeah.
then they would. So thanks a lot, Ray
Yeah,
Gillen.
I mean, Gray was an incredibly talented dude.
Yeah.
But apparently not a bad guy, just selfish and in denial about his health situation at the time. You know what
Yep.
I mean? And it's you have to recognize that HIV back in like 1989 was
It was a guaranteed killer.
It was a death sentence. You know what I
right.
mean? And so I think he just wasn't accepting that was what it was, and and. Unfortunately, a bunch of people paid the price. It was just bad all around,
Right. Well, I mean, one of them was like Jakey Lee's girlfriend or wife or something.
I don't know the
think.
details
Yeah.
about that, but I do know that the music they made was freaking amazing.
Yeah, dude, I wish we could get those albums again.
Well, I have them. I have them both.
Oh, well, then, hey.
Because I made
let's
sure that
talk.
about 15 years ago, or whatever it was, 10 years ago, I went on eBay and found a copy of the original Badlands on CD, and I ordered it for like $30 or whatever. And I had Voodoo Highway from back in the day.
You know what? It would actually feel good to pay $20 or $30 for an album. I haven't done that in quite some time.
Well, if you want that album, you're going to pay significantly more.
You think so?
Oh, dude, I was actually looking to buy Warren D. Martini's solo album, Crazy Enough to Sing for You.
Uh-huh.
I was looking for it. You can only find it on CD, and the cheapest one I found was like $64. Because there's no streaming for
Jesus.
that, and I mean, whatever's labeled deal didn't have a streaming thing at all. Nobody owns the rights to it. So
We gotta go check out Dynasty Records. I think Mel still, that was the record store during the
note,
during the grunge apocalypse and beyond, right?
Yeah.
And then the bro apocalypse of the early 2000s.
we've had a
and
kind of
90s.
unending wave of mass extinction events for music.
Yeah, right. That was the place where you could go to buy like an Impellitteri album, Japanese imports. and
I
all that
remember there
cool
was a lot of
stuff.
great stuff coming from overseas in that time period. There was actually a lot of really cool stuff. I remember getting really into like the James Murphy stuff back in that time period because he was making solo albums.
Yeah, Disincarnate.
Yeah, then there's was a Convergence is one of the ones he did. It was just there's some just killer stuff, and there's a bunch of bands like that. Then the whole prog scene exploded too. There's a lot of great prog stuff like Shadow Gallery and Cairo.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and-
Dream Theater kind of paved the way.
for
right?
sure. And Smith and the X came out around that time. And
Yes.
then, I'm trying to think. It was Spock's Beer. There's a bunch of like prog bands that came out of the woodwork at that time. Inspired by Dream Theater, which is weird because Fates Warning and Queensryche were there way before Dream Theater. But when Dream Theater came out, it just kind of spawned this whole other thing, which is kind of crazy. I've been watching some of the live stuff from the new tour, though. It's sounding killer, man, with Mike Portnoy back in the band.
Rad.
It sounds really good. And oh my God, dude, those guys are living large. There's this behind the scenes thing I saw on their tour. They're like touring like you're supposed to tour. Like this is not like most like hey, we had a van and we have one trailer and we're gonna sleep in the van and then go back to the Holiday Inn or whatever. These guys freaking have like a huge entourage.
They've got like a tour hovercraft.
He's got like the three trucks or something like that. It's insane. I mean, I'm so proud of those guys. 'Cause I remember back in the day, they were like, just playing theaters and had like,
Were they playing Dream Theaters?
they weren't. They were actually playing regular theaters.
Whoa! Now they're playing Dream
But
Theaters.
now they're playing all over Europe and they're playing 10,000 seat places like an arena band. You know what I mean? And
that's awesome. And they refuse to suck.
They do, and everything they've done has been good.
Yep.
Even if it's been some things I like more than others, and nothing anything terrible that bands put out.
Right.
Because they're too good for that, and they actually care. They want to make music that's and they know what they are too. I think that's what's great about that. That's a gift as an artist. Know what you are and know what you aren't. Like that would have saved Motley Crue a lot of issues back in the early mid 90s. I should say, know what you are and know what you aren't.
Well, I mean, like what they are now are senior citizens.
Well,
and
but
what they aren't are
David Coverdale and Rob Halford have shown that you can still rock as a senior citizen.
I think. Well, I mean, Rob Halford definitely has, and David Coverdale had up until about maybe 10 years ago.
Nah, I'll give him like maybe 5-6 years ago. Like that last record they put out was killer, man. That last Snake album.
The last. Well, I mean, there's basically no vocals on it.
Well, there's definitely vocals on it.
No, okay, they're there, but they're so buried in the mix. It's hard for me to get over the fact that they buried his vocals so deep it's almost inaudible.
I was too focusing on Red Beach and Joel pedal hook shredding guitar.
Which I appreciate that, and I'll revisit that album. I
That's
will.
a great record, dude. That's a good one. I mean, I like it a lot. I mean, the new Priest stuff's good too, but I like the new Priest is. You know what's funny? We've come to a spot where Priest is so much better than Maiden. Like the new Priest.
Oh God, yeah.
Not even, it's night and day. It's so much better than Maiden.
Well, because I mean, there's difference. Like Priest basically has 2 new guitar players.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Right. So there's fresh blood in the band, right? And one of those guitar players, isn't it Andy Sneap? Like,
yeah. Well, he's just a touring guy. I think in the studio it's still just Glenn and Richie. Richie's playing most of the guitars, but Glenn can still play a little bit. So like when Glenn can play a rhythm part, he'll have him play rhythm part, and then Richie will double it or whatever. So it's not like he's not playing on the records.
And I mean Andy Sneap is also the producer.
Yeah, so he's a touring guitar player, but he's not playing on the records though.
Okay, well that's cool. So Faulkner's there's new blood in
Faulkner's
Judas
the guy
Priest.
that's driving the ship though, for sure. I would agree with that. And he also needs to make his mark too. He needs to like kind of justify his place in the band.
Yeah, I think he has.
I mean, I think that's why there's so much
easily.
like fire in those albums he's done. It's like, no, this is him saying this is my stamp on this era of Priest, and it's been killer, dude. I mean, it's
and Scott Travis provides the foundation.
It's great all around. You know what I mean?
Whereas Iron Maiden, it's the same dudes. It's actually the same dudes from multiple eras, right?
Yeah.
And mad respect to Iron Maiden for not firing Yannick.
Yeah, when they got Adrian back.
When Adrian came back, it was like, hey, we're Iron. We have 3, right?
Well, if we consider how that band works, 3 guitars makes all the sense in the world, though, because
totally
the harmonies and then the rhythm guitar can still be going all the time. Yeah, that's perfect.
Harmonies and then 2-part harmony and then rhythm guitar.
Yep. And then whoever wants to, if we're playing the Matter of Life and Death stuff, then have Yannick and Dave do it, and if we're playing the classic stuff, have Yannick play rhythm guitar and Dave and Adrian do the the harmonies and stuff. Yeah, I think as a live band they're still amazing, Iron Maiden, but they've got
the later albums.
They got a catalog that's unbelievable too. It's just but the new records are just so hard to listen to, man. There's very little to like grab a hold of that's like, wow, that's killer. Whereas if I put on any of the new songs from Priest, like that's killer, like right away, that sounds
straight
badass.
All killer, no filler.
It's weird. I have to really like dig through the Maiden stuff to find the cool stuff.
Yeah, Jiu-Jitsu left me cool. Like, isn't the song? It's kind of like a country track.
I don't think so. I mean,
country via the Iron Maiden lens. I don't know. It totally hit me like this isn't an Iron Maiden song at all.
Yeah, I mean, none of the stuff is. I mean, they'll have elements that you would see in other Iron Maiden songs, but they're not like, it's not memorable or great. The hooks are kind of gone. Yeah, I feel like the Bruce is just sort of like almost singing through some of the songs a little bit. It's not like the melodies are as strong as it once were.
Which again, I mean, he's got to be 70,
but he still can do it though. That's the difference. And he's not one of these guys who's just hanging on or needs studio tricks to make it sound okay. Like, it's not Don Dokken. You know what I mean? He can still sing. It's just, I just feel like he doesn't give a shit. He's too busy doing the 50 other things he does that this is just another thing. He's not passionate like he was. I think that's what it comes down to. I think there's a curse that comes along with being massively successful. We talked about this on one of our podcasts earlier. Yeah. That when you're massively successful, you kind of stop having that fire in your belly. And if he's been massively successful for freaking 4 decades or plus, it's one of those things where like, how do you keep engineering that fire in your belly when you just don't have it?
Right, when maybe you'd rather be fencing
or flying a plane,
flying an airplane,
or just going off to I don't know, cliff dive in Monaco or something, whatever it is that he does. His James Bond style adventure life that he lives. It's like, then I'm just also the front man of Iron Maiden. It's just another thing he does.
Hey, so you know what? More props to King Diamond.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, he had open heart surgery and came back stronger and more evil than ever.
Well, now he's mad with the open heart surgery. He's like, God damn this. Though the thing that bums me out though about musicians in general, and this brings us to our topic of today. We find in a roundabout how he got.
Oh yeah, what is our? I even forgot what our topic was.
Is that sort of thing where people sort of like, they're flaky and unprofessional, and yet they kind of blame it on, I'm a musician. As a musician, I take great offense to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
by the way, welcome to the Rock Guitar Conference podcast with Ryan and Scott. So is being a flake a part of being a musician, or is that just being unprofessional?
Well, it's just being unprofessional. All right, thanks for listening, folks. Make sure to visit our website.
But that being said, it's like, you know what's funny though? Like whenever someone like, hey, I woke up at 1, like, haha, I'm a musician, dude, whatever. Or like, hey, I know I had a Dave Full lessons book, but I just forgot, dude. Or I wanted to go to the lake. Or whatever.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
That's that kind of thing. And then shaking their heads. Oh, he is incorrigible. He's just.
I mean, the kiss of death is your student shows up for the lesson and you're not there.
Yeah. I mean, that's stupid and terrible. Or like someone calls you and you don't call them back for like a week or two to get lessons or whatever it may be. Or if I'm doing sessions, someone sends me an email and says they want to hire me to do a session. It's like, and I don't get back to them for 2 weeks or something. That's on me, dude. If I do that,
right. Prompt response to emails and text messages.
Yeah, like you care. Pretend like you care about it. You know what I mean? And pretend like it matters to you that you're a professional.
Now, what's great is that like phone calls are pretty much a thing of the past. So
More or less.
So it's even easier just to shoot a text back.
Yeah, for sure. And then what's cool about a text too is like if you ever try and explain to someone like scheduling, like okay, I've got Tuesday at 3:30 and 6:30. I got Wednesday at 4:30, and I got Friday at 2:30 and 4:30. And then try and have them remember that on a phone call. If it's on the text, they just look at it and say, "Oh, okay, that's what it is." It actually makes more sense, or an email.
Yeah, I try to always respond with like, "Here's two choices."
Yeah, I don't. I give a wide net whenever I've got a spot open. I'll go, "Here's everything I got. Just any of these work." Because otherwise we get back and forth again. Like, "Oh, I can't really do that." But do you have another time? Like, "Well, yeah, about this." Like, "Oh, that's the good one." I'd rather avoid that if I can.
Right. Yeah. Or well, I mean, like, so like I think a good qualifier, like, so what days are best?
Yeah. Which is funny when they go, "Well, I don't know."
Right, yeah.
Like, well, you seem like you'd be the world's foremost expert on what your schedule is.
Yeah, right, yeah, exactly.
It's like, who should I call to find out what your schedule is? It's like, I always find that very interesting. But no, that whole I didn't show up, or like, let's say another example, like I showed up to the recording session, I didn't know the parts. Or I showed up, but I didn't warm up, and my guitar is not ready to go, and I need to take 30 minutes to get my rig ready to go and get my guitar the way I want it. Or, we've got a rehearsal for a show. I need you to be here from this time to this time. You show up 40 minutes late. You don't know the parts. We get through half the songs we need to get through, and then shows in 2 days. You know what I mean? And then you show up late for the show.
I'm just feeling anxiety hearing you describe that.
Well, that kind of thing is the thing that drives me crazy about musicians. And I'm a musician, dude. Freaking musician. What's why I'm a musician? It's like, well, no, that's why you're an unprofessional musician. And that that in my experience professionally, that doesn't get fed. That doesn't get ahead doing that. That's what will stay mired in mediocrity. Unless you're ridiculously gifted. Unless you're like Eddie Van Halen level gifted.
I mean, if you're Joe Satriani and you can be like, "Oh, you didn't practice. I'm gonna go get a hamburger."
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Work on that for next week. See ya.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So,
well, I think also back in those times too, things were very different. Then guitar ruled the world back in the late '80s. You know what I mean? So, like, someone coming to guitar lessons that'd be the heyday of being a guitar teacher back in like '87 through like '91.
God, that would have
been the heyday because that's when everyone will learn how to play guitar. And there was no YouTube. You couldn't go to YouTube and find songs. So you had to go find a guitar teacher.
There was no like, okay, so you decided you wanted to learn this solo. So, I learned it and then I transcribed it and then I showed it to you. And then the next lesson you come back playing something completely different.
Yeah.
And then when you ask like, okay, so why are you playing that? Oh, well, I went on to Marty Music on YouTube and he was playing it this way.
Yeah.
Like that didn't happen.
Is that what I showed you to play?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, that back in the day, our YouTube was sending away $75 for like an REH video. That was our YouTube back then,
But the REH videos, what was cool about that is that it just, it would give you like exercises and ideas and licks, right? With the whole intention of you taking that thing and then making it part of your own style, so you do your own thing.
It wasn't how to like blah blah blah. Here's how you play the riff to whatever song. It was more like, this is how I think about when I'm soloing.
Yes.
And this is the techniques I use. This is, how I do picking across strings. This is how I tap and that kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, it was more about you becoming a great player. But I would have loved that so much, man. But someone whose goal is to find their own voice as a guitar player rather than I want to play whatever my favorite 5 songs are. You know what I mean?
So, yep. And maybe this goes on with like professionalism because, so apart from just showing up, this doesn't mean everything, but it happens, if you're teaching like 40, 50, 60 students a month, right? Yeah. That's so just so that everybody has the scope.
A week, really. And then,
a week. A week. And then that's, a week. Yeah. So, inevitably you're going to have to learn a bunch of music you fucking hate.
Yeah.
Or don't like.
But you have to do it cheerfully too, because you have to remember that your job is to make them excited about playing guitar.
Right.
And tie it back to the things you're trying to make them learn too. Like, okay, this is how this thing we're learning over here relates to this. You know what I mean? This is why we're doing that.
That's the art of it, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's how I can tell for myself. Like, I'm ready for a little vacation time.
Yeah.
So
a little burnt out,
a little crispy. Like, I just ready to recharge the batteries, right? Yep. So, because I know people, I suspect that people, everybody knows that teaching requires patience, but it's not, I'm not bothered by. I'm, like, hey, put your first finger on the first fret of the sixth string. No, that's the first string. Yeah. No, that's your second finger.
I'll actually go one up. I'll say the low E string.
I'll do that.
And then they'll go like on the B string. I'm like, no, the low E string. No, put it on the first fret on the low E string. What are we talking about? What's going on? Why don't you know what the low E string is?
Or
literally the first thing we talked about.
One of my tricks for that is the lowest sounding E string.
That doesn't help sometimes either. It's like, no, the low. They go here. I'm like, no, that's the highest string. What are you doing?
But this one's closest to this one's closest to planet Earth.
Yeah, my God. It's like,
so that's one kind of patience, right? Yeah. Which, I can only speak for myself. I mean, I think I've got a pretty deep well of that kind of patience.
Yeah, I've never yet had a chance to reach for the rusty pipe I keep next to me, just in case I lose all my patience.
But it's there.
It's there. I've not reached for it in many years, but
yes, mine's a machete. Yeah,
I'll just walk in, blood stains across all the walls, and still know the student pushed me past it. It's the limit right there.
Just show up to the lesson wearing a hockey mask. That would be great.
It's like, how is it possible you don't know an A chord? By God, it's like. And then they'll ask you a question like, well, how long took you to learn? I'm like, about 5 minutes.
It's
what's wrong with you? It's like, no, I just think they're trolling me at this point. Like, this whole thing's like, where's the camera? Someone's put a camera up here.
Right.
Like, this is just a trolling. Someone's trolling me,
So I think, yes. So I think that, there's a couple of misperceptions, right? One is that I think that a lot of, I think people believe that if the band is popular,
that they're good,
right? Yeah, that they're good. Yeah,
that's like the hardest thing. Like, if they're popular, they must be really great. They must be great.
Yeah,
they're so famous. They're so great.
They've achieved financial success.
I always try and explain to them, like, it's exactly the inverse of that. Like, the most talented people are the ones you probably never heard of. You know what I mean? It's
right, because they didn't have the look, or they
just don't have music that's commercially accessible. And generally speaking, I tell them, like, the better you are, the more skill you have, the more you want to use that in what you write. And consequently, the less commercially viable it becomes.
Right, and in defense of some of the famous mediocre guitar players, maybe they are just super professional and they showed up on time.
I mean, there's a lot of guys who I really like, who I would describe in that, like Mick Mars comes to mind as someone in that class. Jeff LaBar comes as someone who's in that class. There's a few.
So you're telling me that Dan Donegan is like the most punctual guitar player?
There's a bunch of there's tons of them. I mean, dude, there's so many guys who are in that. They're fine. I would describe them as fine. They're C student guitar players. They're fine. They graduate. They're fine.
Yeah, they passed. Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot more of those, and I think you're right. Like, if you're a cool person, you show up when you're supposed to and on time, and have your parts down. And you at least have that. And you have your tone somewhat together. You can be counted on. That goes a long way. It really does.
Don't be an asshole is a skill.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and then understand how to be able to ingratiate yourself into a group of people you don't know, and how to defer. And
I like to use bribery and flattery.
I don't
that usually. That. You know what I mean?
I can't. Flattery comes off so insincere for me. My God, you're handsome and intelligent.
Is that a new cologne or perfume?
Exactly. Just literally like cologne or perfume, him or her.
That's a very smart and handsome hairdo you have.
I could never do that with it and have it not come off as smarmy and bullshitty.
No, well, of course. That's why. That's why I'm doing what is known as joking.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I missed the whole thing. I didn't know that was a joke. My God.
Okay.
But I think that you're right though. That socializing is a skill, and you know what? This is another thing that ties right into the propensity to get totally fucked up as guitar players and musicians. Is that some people really struggle with that. So them getting hammered or whatever, it makes them feel more comfortable as they can. They not only does it make them in the moment feel less, sort of nervous about their situation? But it gives them kind of an out if they act or say something stupid, like, "Wow, dude, that's so fucked up. Oh my god."
So here's
what I mean? It's
so kind of, maybe not to go on a tangent, but this is something I also think about a lot relative to the business of being a guitar instructor, right?
Or even just guitarist in the band or a session musician or whatever, any working musician,
Yeah, just being a working musician. We live it. So like you and I grew up with like music that was larger than life, right?
Yeah.
And
played by guitarists who are extremely amazing,
right?
And other bands too. The rest of the guys in the bands were all
Yep.
incredible singers, incredible. Well, I'm not gonna say bass players,
and who also had big personalities, right? Like who were also entertainers, right? Like I mean, they were extroverts, right? Yeah. Well, now we live in an age of total introversion.
I don't know if that's true though. I mean, I think that
I
think like Taylor Swift's not an introvert. I mean, she's kind of
well, that's just Taylor Swift.
She's a real life like Disney princess, basically. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what she is.
Okay,
I don't know
so that's one.
Billie
right?
Eilish has got performative introversion, but I don't think that's.
What about like
is.
Phoebe Bridgers?
Phoebe Bridgers is the same thing. I mean, Phoebe Bridgers is just a slightly more normal Billie Eilish, if that makes sense. Who's a little bit better songwriter.
I mean, at least, I don't know if Billie Eilish. I've never seen Billie Eilish play guitar. I think she has a brother who plays guitar.
Yeah, but he's terrible, and her songs are so awful. Oh my god! And she's such a one-trick pony too. I mean,
like whisper vocals.
Yeah,
although you know what, she can actually belt too. I mean, she has a good voice.
Phoebe Bridgers is actually a really good songwriter, though. I think she's. Yeah. I mean, I wish the thing about her, and I'm a fan. I'm not trashing her, but I would say I would like her to expand beyond just sad girl songs. I tried to love you and it didn't work out, and now I'm going to be okay and go on now. That's like every one of her songs is that. You know what I mean? And
there's like an indie. I don't know. Like
I like the indie part of it. I think the indie part the indie part appeals to me. I like that. There's a weird part. I played in like an indie rock band, not indie, but like an alternative rock band for a few years when I was in my mid 20s, early 20s.
Like Modest Mouse or the Strokes.
Dude, it's Morning After. We were kind of like Matchbox 20 meets Dave Matthews, that kind of thing. Yeah. So it was kind of.
I hope the vocals were better than both
they
of
were.
those bands.
Rob was a great singer.
Yeah, good.
It was kind of. It was kind of mainstream. It had little Goo Dolls in there.
Like Rob Thomas is one of those artists where I don't know who he's for.
Well, it was kind of more in that style, but it had that kind of indie sort of alternative rock kind of vibe, and that's funny. I've always my whole life as a guitar player hated that, like with a passion, because I'm a metal dude. I thought it was bullshit, candy ass music. But then I always I think what Tori Amos was the first one that kind of opened me up my eye. Like, that's a cool song.
Tori Amos is a brilliant musician.
I know, but
there was a wave of female art. That was like the best part of pop music in the 90s.
The Lilith Fair thing, which was great. I'm a huge Sarah McLachlan fan too. So that's that whole thing.
PJ Harvey rules over all of them.
We've litigated this for sure.
Yeah, PJ Harvey is atop the mountains. That's the thing, looking down on all the rest of them.
That's the thing that kind of got me opening my mind to like the alternative rock thing. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I like that. You know what I mean? Then I like John Mayer's and Goo Goo Dolls, and there's some great songwriting going on.
You know what?
There wasn't like any musicianship. I always remember that bugged me out, which is why in the band The Morning After, my thought was, let's do have a band like Matchbox 20, but I'm going to play real guitar solos. I'm going to do like it's kind of Matchbox 20 meets like Journey, if that makes sense. So
cool.
And no, it wasn't actually. That's what led to the end of the band. Because I was like, I don't want to just do like my little E drumming, and like the Coldplay thing. I wanted to do like a real solo. I'm always remember like, this song is great. What if it had a real guitar solo?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what I was visioning for that band. And of course, as a singer, I was thinking is like, well, how about we don't do that?
How about no? He was like, how about a bass solo?
You know what we did? We did an EP. That's the only thing we ever recorded, and it was noticeable. When I listen back now, I can kind of see. It felt like very much like herky jerky. Like there's songs going along this like typical Coldplay Matchbox 20 thing, and all of a sudden there's this like ripping guitar solo, and then it goes back. It kind of felt like it was like going to some other place for a while, then coming back, which I thought was cool at the time. And I always wish that pop music, because the pop music I grew up with always had a great guitar solo.
Yeah.
Journey and Toto, and even like Lionel Richie had freaking great guitar solos. Beat It from Michael Jackson had great guitar solo. Everyone had Richard Marx, you name it, Michael Bolton, anybody you can think of was a pop song, but it had killer guitar playing. And I thought, why isn't that in alternative? And I just come to realize over the years that in alternative rock, that's not really a part of that vibe. There's not supposed to be virtuoso musicianship in that vibe.
Well, it trades lack of virtuosity for but this
earnestness.
Is deep. Right, this is deep and meaningful.
And I appreciate that. I always miss the musicianship though. That's the thing. And also I'd like to have some other vibes besides just sad. I'm sad, or I'm earnest, or I'm gonna be okay, or I'm trying to work through my awkward weirdness. But please like me, even though I'm weird, I'm still really cool and stuff. That kind of got old really quick. That kind of vibe. You know what I mean? So. I don't know. But I remember thinking like, why can't this be more badass?
Yeah, agreed. Or why couldn't this be more interesting?
Yeah. Musically. Yeah.
Musically, yeah. Again, I don't know who Rob Thomas is for.
Yeah, Rob Thomas is for middle-aged women who like were into Rob Thomas in like 2001. That's who he's for.
Really? That's who he's for?
That's who he's for. Yeah, that's basically it.
Well, couldn't they listen to something better?
He's not crazy. He's just a little unwell.
So, God damn it. Thanks for listening to Rock Guitar Confidential with Scott and Ryan. Please make sure to like, rate, and subscribe. Now back to the show. So, so I think you just helped me realize something, though.
Like, good. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you realize your truth and help you walk your truth.
Yeah, right. God, that's what man, I hate it when people fucking say that. Stand in your truth. No, you don't get your own truth.
Hey, no, your own truth doesn't fucking
There's
matter.
Truth and there's not
truth.
There's
objective reality, shitbag.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's your truth. Shut the fuck up. That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard anyone say.
The dumbest thing I've ever heard someone say is I'm a life coach.
No, the dumbest
qualifications are literally just be alive.
No, the very dumbest thing anyone's ever said is I like Nirvana.
No, that's not the dumbest thing.
That's pretty dumb.
That is pretty dumb.
It's bad.
No, Nirvana's a great band. We should venerate 30 years after they came out as the dumbest thing.
Anyway, so
we got our quota. Here we go. Check the mark. Nirvana sucks, just so everyone knows.
So of all the artists that debuted in the 90s, right? Like I have positive, like I like Tori Amos, right?
No, me too. I still like that stuff. Yeah,
I like some of Sarah McLachlan's songs, but the talent in the songcraft is undeniable. And again,
one thing I think though,
PJ Harvey rules over all of them by a long shot.
Whatever you want, man. It's all good.
But so none of them, Jarl.
That's true.
There's no.
Well, that was
that's
thing.
why
that was like a 1995 thing. That was like a thing that became popular then. You know.
Well, I mean, it was before that. Like
it's like mid 90s, like 99. I never heard one
early 90s.
Like, well, I guess technically,
yeah, 91.
But no, but there wasn't like everyone doing that until like 94, 95.
It was an. I think it was an artifact of Lane Staley's vocal style, which I like.
Lane Staley could actually sing though. That's the
right. Lane. Well, and so then you get like the shitty Xerox copy and
Chris Cornell could also sing. I've always thought that was weird that the Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, easily the two best bands in that whole.
Well, those bands would have been successful whether there was a radio format change or not.
Sure, but I mean, I always wonder why they're not as popular as the other two bands. Like, why is Pearl Jam and Nirvana more popular than Soundgarden and Alice in Chains? Considering that Alice in Chains and Soundgarden are so much better in every way.
Bad taste is a. Epidemic. Well, plus,
great songs still. I mean, and they're still really popular. But
plus, here's also I'm getting a little off topic. So anyway,
topic is musicians should be professional. But that's just to kind of retouch back onto it.
Yeah, right. So I mean, Pearl Jam's just safe. Just like Rob Thomas, right? It's a non-controversial music bit.
I don't know that Alice in Chains is that controversial though. I mean,
they're definitely edgier than.
Well, they're more metallic for sure.
Right.
Same with
Soundgarden.
Heavier. Soundgarden's got some heavy stuff too. I think that's
absolutely.
The thing that Soundgarden doesn't have is the skill as musicians. I mean, that's the thing that they're missing. But
Pearl Jam's just totally. It's music for people who don't give a shit about music. That's what it is. It's like like Rob Thomas.
It allows you to put on like the cloak that I'm like an alternative person, but you're really just a safe corporate douche.
Participating in the zeitgeist without any risk or taking any
or a passion for anything either, just whatever, man. It's the McDonald's burger of food. Yeah.
So the female artists of the 90s were I like them better because there's no yarling. That I finally get it. That's it.
I liked them because I thought they wrote some interesting stuff. I thought some of the melodic
that as well.
Some of the chord transitions and stuff were really interesting.
Yeah, the arrangements and the
great melodies,
the bands,
really interesting lyrics. I thought that's the thing. Like whenever like someone asked me like, "Hey, what do you think about this artist?" I'm like, yeah, I don't like them. They go, why not? Well, because they're bad at everything. Yeah, right. And I've heard things that are good, so and I know what good sounds like, and this isn't that. You know what I mean? It's like I can see if I was 12 and I've never heard music before, thinking this is good, but I've heard music before, and I know what's good. And I mean, every once in a while I'll hear like an old song from like the 70s, kind of a throwaway disco song, and I'll be like blown away by not only the musicianship of the art of the people, but like the melodies are so great. Like a lot of those, like even the high harmonies and stuff. And I'm thinking like this is really good music, even though it's like a bullshit throwaway like disco song. took it seriously. I mean, musicians, there's no freaking Pro Tools for that. You played that
disco
shit.
was fucking great. It was born of funk, and we've probably gotten into all this.
But that being said, though, like I'm always blown away by what the average kind of the generic BS from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and then you compare it to now. And it's just so glaring how terrible the new stuff is.
Well, yeah, because it all had to be handcrafted back in the day.
We had to know what the fuck you're doing back then. You know what I mean? And nowadays you don't have to know anything. You just have to have big tits or like a cool looking haircut or whatever it is. You know, that's basically it. You know, that's your qualifications.
Oh man,
you know?
We've got to have another episode of what the kids are listening to. Maybe that's where I should have taken. Maybe that's where we should have taken.
Well, no, I want to take my fellow musicians to task though. There's no excuse for being unprofessional. That's
no, there isn't. You gotta show up.
You're not being funny or cute or weird or just being a musician, dude. Just a musician, whatever. That's just you not giving a shit, and that's plain and simple. That's what it is. And don't be surprised if you don't get called for that next gig because you showed up not giving a shit.
And you know what? To add to that, you know, I understand that some sectors of the music industry, particularly the retail part, I mean, you know, you're not going to get paid a whole lot.
Yeah,
but
so you appropriately have the same kind of.
Incentive, right? Yeah. But I mean, the incentive should be your own integrity.
Yeah, having pride in what you do, and
Well, because if you're looking at if a person is looking at their stop in the music industry, I mean, then it's a stepping stone for something else.
Yeah,
right. And plus, I've tried to pitch this to retail workers so much. Like, if you work all day, the day goes by faster. Yeah. Right.
Well, also, there's no advantage to not being kind and helpful to people. I mean, I would do that anyway. You know, even if I was at a music store and I haven't worked in a music store ever, actually. I've only taught there. But I would still stop and help someone pick an amp out if they had questions. That's just called being a good human.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Make a new friend. You know, so there's all that.
I think looking at it as being an ambassador for Guitarland and saying, okay, I want someone to have a good experience with this. I want them to how cool that was to hang out with that dude. And he was telling me all these things, and you know, what's the advantage to not doing that? You know, it's just you being a douche at the end of the day.
Yeah, you just get to share something you love with someone else.
It's the same reason, like if I see a grandma walking out to the grocery store with a big old bag of like flour or something, and she needs help put it in her car, I would stop and help her put it in her car because that's what you do. You're human. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
That's called being a good person. You know what I mean?
And then later on, you find out like it's not flour; it was a few kilos of cocaine.
Oh, honey, I need some help putting this in the car.
She's like, "Thanks, sonny. Want a bump?" And she holds out your car keys, and you think that she needs you to, but no, she just has like a bump on the key. And right.
No, that's okay, Grandma. I just can help. Just here to help.
You're like, that's okay, Esmeralda, the drug lord from Colombia.
Got a bag full of bodies
at
in
the
there.
Piggly Wiggly. Yes.
No, but I mean,
you find out the grocery store is just like a front for the cartel.
Though it's one of the funniest things, though. I don't know if I talked to you about this before, but I remember right when I got back from Los Angeles, I was just starting my teaching practice, and I was only teaching like I think one day or 2 days. I only had like 4 students to start with, something like that. So I didn't have enough money coming in to support myself doing that. So I spent maybe like 6 months working at Office Max. I was selling furniture and computers there. You know, as I had done that when I was going to music school.
Yep.
And so I remember doing that. And at some point, my hair was really long at that point. And I remember one of the managers comes over and is like, "Okay, you need to cut your hair." And I was like, at that point, I think I got like 2 or 3 students, 2 or 3 days full of students, and I was ready to quit that job anyway. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not cutting my hair. You know, I'm not going to do that."
Fuck yeah, good on you.
And I said, you guys should really, he's like, "Well, what kind of middle ground can we meet? Can we find a way in between?" I'm like, "Nope." And then the day I was quitting, someone I had given service to, they had written in to tell them what a great experience they had with me.
Nice job.
And it was kind of like really just a great sort of
vindication. Yeah,
it's like, it's like didn't seem to mind my hair being too long, and I was helping them and giving them the greatest experience they've had in a retail environment.
Hell yeah.
That kind of thing. And I wasn't doing that I would have done that even without getting that praise, but it was kind of nice to have that backup from the employer, the customer who like was really digging what I would do.
That's awesome.
But I remember just thinking like, I'm not cutting. I remember at the time saying, I'm not cutting my hair for anyone ever again. You know what I mean? I remember thinking that.
Right. You're not gonna James and Lars this shit.
Yeah, exactly right. And then James and Lars did cut their hair.
Yeah, right. I've got the time frame about.
God
right.
damn it.
Right.
I mean, Lars, he went full douchebag. I don't know what it was. Like, he was like a cool metal dude. Like, he was European, so he kind of cut him some slack. He's got some weird quirks or something.
Really, James is the one who like bothers me the most in that band.
Why? Because he should know better? Is that why?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just not. I don't know. Something about James.
That's a great movie, man. It's called In Store.
There's something about James. Yeah.
No, I mean,
I don't know. So,
but here's the thing I was saying too about professionalism too. Like even very successful artists. Like let's look at speaking of Metallica, look at Kirk. Like Kirk showing up and just kind of pinching out whatever he has for the solo, not picking any
pinching out a loaf.
Yeah, picking out a loaf for Lux Eterna, whatever. Like
just pumping a clump
whatever
out for Lux Eterna.
There you go, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Just leaving a monkey tail.
That's what I mean by like, but like not giving a shit. Like, dude, where's your pride? Like Kirk from like Master Puppets. Kirk would be so horrified by like
just leaving like a poo dragon just right in the middle of the live room. Yeah,
for the last few Metallicons, he's done that. It's like, like where's your pride, dude? Like, do you not care about being a good player anymore? Is it not give a shit in any way? I mean, it's like,
yeah, I don't know. And so to bring this back around, right? So, you and I have to, like, one of the things that we have to do for our job is, take requests.
I don't do that very often, I'll be honest with you.
Okay, well, so here's where we need to have a meeting of the minds because, so as I expressed before recording our podcast today.
What, we're recording?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, my
shit,
God.
I forgot to arm track. That's my signature move.
Yeah. We started many a podcast by the people without tracks armed.
So, yeah. So the way that I do things is your tuition gets you 4 lessons a month, right?
Of course,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so if we have like 5 of your lesson day in the month, then there's an off week, right?
Yeah, exactly, yep.
Which, I can only speak for myself, but this gives me time
I think you were more than capable of speaking for every musician.
Well, thank you very much.
Just write down for everybody.
I'll run for that office.
Musician
spokesperson, yeah.
Press secretary for musicians.
Right.
You know what's funny? Like, you could make an appointment and you just wouldn't show up. Fuck you, I slept in, I'm a musician.
The staff would show up hungover at like 4 p.m.
What? Yeah, but just put it was like noon. They show up before, and then they don't understand why no one's there. It's like, what? We had a freaking press appointment, man. What the hell?
Yeah.
At 12.
Exactly.
Yeah. What?
Dude, what? Fuck.
I'm gonna fucking drink.
Man, I'm totally tripping balls. Yeah. So, so earlier when I was saying about patience, right? I've got plenty of patience to tell you to put your finger on it in that spot, right? Yep. But
why? I'm doing okay with the hell.
Yeah.
This is the ATM.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And
I'm sure you have lots of patience for that, right?
Yeah, totally.
That spot. That one. Oh, yeah.
Yes, that spot. Right? I'll let the listener decide what the spot is. But
you bastard, we're talking about E flat on the 6th fret.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, we could do like a listener quiz. Like, now, can you explain like what strings to which Scott was referring? Please send your answers in now at, right?
Yes, and at least 1 or 2 people will get it right, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, we'd have to put like a timer on that. Like, send your answer in within 30 seconds.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Which is way too much time.
I'm doing my thing I always do, which is I'm totally derailing you. I'm making you like, you're trying to make a topic, trying to make a point. And
that's okay. I need you to be the derailing force.
I'm not trying to be.
So I'm usually better at this, but like, I've absorbed a lot of music I really don't like. Lately,
yes.
Right?
And as the whole world, actually,
and as my, and part of like, I think the sacrifice of the job or the patience, as another friend put it to me, when you learn that crappy guitar solo, it becomes a part of you.
I don't know that that's true, man. I gotta be honest. I mean, I've learned many crappy guitar solo, and it's like water off a duck's back for me. Like, all right.
Well, that's great because I've been like haunted by this one phrase. It goes wah 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 wah. It's like it's stuck in my head.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
It's following. Like, I'll be in the shower and and it's the phrase I like least. In the solo,
that's,
like,
that's telling you something. That's like your psychology telling you need to stop and deal with some things, man.
Apparently so. Well, no, I just need to take a week off and go commune with King Diamond. Exactly. Is what I need to do.
You totally do.
And so, well, I mean, that's just how I can tell I'm getting a little bit crispy and need like a little, a few days off.
I think that. I don't know if it's just me changing the goalposts or something like that, but like at the end of the day, as long as someone's excited about playing guitar and I can have the hope of maybe driving them towards, understanding better music, I look at that as like, okay, this is something I'm doing to help this person play guitar, be excited about playing guitar. I always think about my shitty jazz guitar teachers when I was a kid. And me telling them, like, they're trying to show me some, like, freaking Joe Pass thing or something. And I was like, well, I'm really into, like, Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads and George Lynch and Ingrid Malmsteen. I want to play like that. And then they're going like, well, that's not real music, dude. This is what real music is. And I always think about that guy whenever I have that attitude when someone brings like a Nirvana song in or whatever it might be. It could be a Luke Bryan song or whatever, you know. And I always think like, but you know what though, it's not my place. If this is what music is to them, this is what makes them excited about playing music, then I need to be on board with that with as much gusto as I would if someone says, "Hey, teach me the Symphony of Destruction solo or something."
And I'm not, and I'm not saying. I mean, I completely agree, and I also take that position. I'm just trying to let people behind the curtain a little bit in terms of
this is your personal struggle. I get it. Yeah.
It's just a stamina thing, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna have a week off. Coming up next week, I'm gonna go commune with King Diamond, and then I'm gonna come back totally like refreshed. And then you know what you can.
So the power of Satan compels you. Is what you're saying.
Yes, so yes, once I commune with the power of Lord Satan, and he can compel me forward with the strength I need to carry on. Then I'll be able to listen to more crappy music and teach people to play it, and it won't follow me home.
No, I don't. Trust me, I'm with you 100%. There's a lot of garbage music out there for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, I want people playing guitar and playing music, and honestly, just being excited about music in general. I think the thing that my biggest thing I rail against is like the lack of passion for things. That sort of like whatever. That kind of attitude, like, well, what do you like to watch? What kind of TV shows? Like, I don't know. What kind of movies? Like,
yeah, just being.
What kind of music do you like?
Just being aloof,
like,
right?
What do you like to do? I'd like to, play TikTok, or like watch, like, do like the games where I'm like on the thing with my friends and we're like, running around the world. That's what I like to do. I'm like, cool.
Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. But like, okay, but is that like, what are you into though? It's like they're basically into just checking out. That's what they're into, like just not being involved in anything. They want to just kind of float and talk shit with their friends and just hang out. Which there's a place for that, but I mean, it's
well, I mean, I think this may be adjacent, but I mean, I think it's kind of commentary on consumer culture.
Well, consumer culture's existed for 100 years now.
I mean, but I think it's kind of more extreme now, right? Like, so it's about, for too many people, it's just all about consuming, whether they know it or not.
Well, maybe. I think it's just
for too many, not everybody, but I mean, like, I think it's just more than I would prefer.
Looking for something that you're passionate for in life. I think that's the thing. Or for me, like I've said this before, there's so many things I'm passionate about. There's almost nothing I like that I'm not passionate about.
No, I agree. If I get into something, I get all the way into it,
so
right?
I'm like really
whether it's like ATMs or
prostitutes who hang out outside ATMs.
Yeah, right. Next to the vape shop.
Wow, you're getting very specific.
Okay, so there's a safe credit union. Okay, so
no. People will come out like totally like prostitute tourism coming in Sacramento.
No, I just remember the last time I went to the Safe Credit Union off like on Watt Avenue. I just remember to make a deposit, and let me tell you, dude, I deposited the shit out of that check. Okay.
Yep.
I deposited that check so
much
fucking hard.
It was burning for weeks afterwards.
Dude, that check was screaming my name when I deposited it. No, I just noticed there were just more hookers than usual on Watt Avenue that day.
Like more than the quota. There should be at least this many hookers.
Yeah, well, more than usual. I mean, there's going to be hookers on it. It wouldn't be Watt Avenue without the ladies of the night and the Shooting Gallery Hotel by the freeway off ramp, right?
Where all the classy folks go.
It's
classy when it's got an hourly rate,
and the vibrating bed, and it's across from like the shooting range, right? So there's some like gun club across the street. Then there's like the total like shooting gallery fucking hotel, and then a vape shop, and so naturally there will be like, I don't know, there was just more hookers than usual for some reason. I don't know why.
Is a rock and roll rehearsal space, because that sounds exactly like the neighborhood of rock space. I was talking to one of my students about this the other day. Like, there is no such thing as a classy rock and roll anything. Like, if there's no classy rock and roll rehearsal studios, there's no classy rock and roll clubs. They're always in the shittiest part of town, next to the burning dumpster.
I mean, if it were classy, like you're in the wrong spot.
It's something I've always found stunning. I remember like when I was in the band 7 years, we used to rehearse a place that was literally adjacent to a strip club.
I've actually played a gig at a strip club.
I almost did. We were actually supposed to play at a strip club, which is weird with Scott Allen Project. That was the weirdest thing. I don't know how are we playing at a strip club, but I remember that was supposed to happen because I guess my drummer had a friend who like wanted to book us or something like that, and I was like,
was that cheerleaders out on in Citrus Side? They tore it down, but
we ended up not doing it. I gotta be honest, I would have felt totally uncomfortable.
Dude, well, the gig I did, like I was on stage with my band, like next to the pole, like girls on stage
That's
with
what we're
us,
talking
right?
about. I mean, I know exactly.
Yeah, it was fucking great. But like we had a new guy running the fog machine, so I probably told the story.
Yeah,
he ran the fog machine and then didn't know how to turn it off, so the whole place.
It's like, did he run the fog machine?
Yeah, so like the first song starts and he hits the fog machine. It filled the whole entire club up with so much fog.
You can't see anything.
You can't see shit. It was hilarious.
Oh man.
That is a Spinal Tap moment right
The only
there.
thing that could have made it even more funny is if it was like 11 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Shit. Well, then I would have wanted the fog. The fog would have been better.
That's exactly the bullet wounds look less.
Wah, wah. Oh my god.
That being said, though, you know what? If you're a musician, you show up to that gig like you promise, you play your heart out, and you do what you're supposed to do. That's exactly. That's what being a professional is all about.
21-year-old me sure did.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
I mean, well, I'm 21-year-old you. I can't imagine. It's like, oh, I got to go play at a strip club. Oh my god. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, dude, yeah. Like most young men, like I think I was a walking boner from the ages of like 13 to like 20.
Well, we've discussed you were like a huge
27.
fan of the OnlyFans page for The Wind.
Wait, for who?
OnlyFans page for The Wind. Remember back in the day?
Who's The Wind?
The Wind. You know that because the wind.
Oh, the wind. If the wind blows. Right, yeah, no, totally. Yes, exactly. Yep.
That was those days. You know what I mean?
That was those days.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So it was. I feel bad for the horny teenagers of today.
Don't. They got more porn than they know what to do with now. Are you kidding me?
Well, yeah, but they don't. Oh man, but they don't go out and make contact with each other in real life.
Well, the real dolls are going to come to save them. That's
right. The robots are going to. Yeah. So anyway.
But by the way, if you have a night of amorous affection with your real doll, you still need to show up to
well
rehearsal.
spoken.
You still need to show up with rehearsal the next day, like you said you would.
Right, and
know your fucking parts. Don't just show up. No, I don't have to show you how to play the parts. You know your parts.
And
you know what I mean?
and no girlfriends or real dolls at rehearsal. It's for the band only.
Exactly. But I mean, that's another thing that drives me nuts. Like someone showing up for rehearsal and they don't know their parts.
Yeah.
And like, hey, what's that part again? Oh, well, show me that part again. Like, what the fuck, dude? I sent you like the CD like a week ago so you could learn your shit. So when you show up, you have it down. Like, why the hell am I having to show you this? It's
And why are there like 3 members of your family in the studio here with us?
I've never had that experience myself, but that being said, I feel bad for you if you have. Oh my God, what a nightmare that must be.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I explain. There's only one extra chair beside. There's 3 chairs in my studio, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's 2 chairs there because on a first lesson you want to have if it's not an adult, then parent, child, instructor, first lesson, here's what's going to happen, here's how this works.
I thought your regular policy is like the first lesson you must balance yourself on a yoga ball the whole time. That's what the student must do.
I've moved that to the second lesson.
Okay,
yeah.
So
We have the
entire thing's balancing on top of a yoga ball with their
Yes, we do the feats of strength.
Yeah.
After the first of the year, I'll finally have the alligators.
Yeah, this is what guitar playing is. Right. This is what it is.
Oh my god, it's like Takeshi's Castle.
Exactly.
Right, where there's like obstacles, right, where they take like 100 competitors and like you have to like run up like a sloped wall while they spray like sudsy water on you so you slip down. And,
yeah. Seems like it's not related to guitar, but this is what guitar playing is.
Damn, thanks for putting that image in my head. I'm gonna watch some Takeshi's Castle this afternoon. Hell yeah.
Yes, exactly right.
It's on Amazon Prime, everybody. So I recommend. It's a Japanese game show.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Very cool.
Where they start with like it's kind of like an Iron Man marathon, except there's all these like obstacles. Right, it's like one is you have to.
Is that kind of like American Ninja Warrior sort of, where they have like these obstacles that they have to like?
American Ninja Warrior is such a stupid fucking name.
Yeah, it totally is.
It's not dignified like Takeshi's Castle.
Yeah.
I just
like getting covered in suds while trying to climb a slide. That's
right.
So
it's like maybe
it's like
it is.
It's like a Queen Elizabeth would do.
Yeah, like American Ninja Warrior just made like there's some media that I just think is made for dumb people.
That's called most media, actually.
Yeah.
I find it so insulting, dude. I really do. Like, oh my God, what the fuck are you thinking about me? If you think I'm thinking this is great,
right?
You think I want to see Real Housewives or something? Oh my God, it's like, I was at the gym today, and they always have some stupid like Real Housewives show. There's like Windy City Rehab or something. Like there's some like rehabilitation show.
It's reality TV because it's cheap.
It's just so stupid, and like
there's a new trend.
Who is this for? I always think that. You know what I mean? It's
I haven't like this is gonna there's about to be a new catchphrase called the slop economy.
Okay.
Right, where it's just like consumer like products and media, it's just going to be like it's just slop, right? Like there's just going to be
like slopping the pig.
A high volume of like garbage. So I think like in the article that I read, and I can't remember where I read it, but this person like ordered just like some cheap phone charger off of Amazon, right? It was like $2, right? $2 and change. Like so
the shipping's probably more than the actual phone charger,
something like that. Or and I think maybe it got like piggybacked onto like another for whatever it was. It was such a nominal cost. Like you'd barely bend over to pick it up off the ground if you saw it, right? And it showed up, it broke immediately, and the person didn't give a shit because it was so cheap. That's slop.
Yeah, I guess you mean, yeah.
Right. So
not expecting anything, Yeah,
right. So like that's what that kind of that's what reality TV is. It's just fucking slop. And that's what a lot of like modern popular music is too. It's just cheap slop that
for sure.
Right. It has no staying power. It breaks. You don't give a shit because you're not investing.
And you're also not paying anything for it. Who cares? It's just free.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's about exactly the investment people make with it. And that ties back to my big pet peeve is with people not having passion for things, like not being passionate about something. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And I think that's a big part of the driver of that is that people just, they just don't give a shit about anything. And
right.
It's this, I can't tell you how hard it is to relate to someone like that. I tried. I've been in rooms with many people like this many years when I was married, and it's just trying to have some common ground with somebody that's not talking about golf or the weather, not talking about money or politics, not talking about talking about anything that's more interesting than that. You know what I mean? It's very difficult because people are not passionate about anything other than, I guess, getting another beer or like banging their mistress. That's like that's like the things they're passionate about.
Dude, I was on a text thread with some buddies the other day, and one of them's a San Francisco Lakers fan.
Okay.
And of course,
otherwise known as the Golden State Warriors. If you're new to the podcast,
they're the San Francisco Lakers. Fuck that team.
I actually like the Warriors. They're my
second
favorite
okay.
team.
We can still be friends.
Friends are my number one.
After the Kings. Good.
Kings
well,
are my
Kings are number one then.
Yeah.
So,
of course they are. Because I have a soul. I live in Sacramento. The Kings are my number one. I have no soul.
Right. So, if the Kings and the San Francisco Lakers, the gentrified San Francisco Lakers, are playing the Kings, then you want
the Kings to win. Yeah.
Baby Steffi Curry.
Well, I want monstrous De'Aaron Fox dropping 60 the other day, man.
In a loss.
But still, dude, 60. Holy crap. I mean,
as a long, from my perspective as a longtime Kings fan, I'd rather him score 25 points in a win.
Well, if you don't have Domantas Sabonis and you don't have DeMar DeRozan, you're missing like your other scorers. He has to score as much as he can. As what offensive threat. If you watch them, there's not on the floor there, he can't do anything. There's like nobody who threatens anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? If it's not De'Aaron, he's got to score. Okay, you got to score 100 today, De'Aaron.
So me and my buddies were like, so we're talking shit, right?
Okay.
And he was saying something about stupid baby Steffi Curry, who I think is just like, he just looks totally punchable. Okay. Especially when he puts his stupid like mouth guard away. Anyway, so we were just like talking sports smack. And like my other buddy chimed in and commenting that Steph Curry's a wanker, which okay, fine, I can get behind that. We're talking shit about baby Steffi. But he included one of the reasons for being a wanker, like who he voted for in the most recent election.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, what does that have to fucking do with it? Like, why is that even being included in our conversation?
There's so many other ways to be a wanker besides that,
Right. Like, how about being like a showboaty Nepo baby, you know what I mean? Who does little night bullshit. There's lots of reasons.
He's an amazing player, dude. I mean, you have to give credit where it's due.
I do give credit where it's due, and so, but like all the showboatiness,
that's partially why people love him so much.
But I'm sticking to that.
He's clearly incredibly skilled at what he does. I mean,
that's fine. I'm just saying that I'm.
You could be a Nepo baby all day long. You don't get to be. You can't do that shit. You know
no, well, agreed. And this kind of goes to our conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'm not keeping it totally to that, but I mean, it's mostly his on-court behavior, and it's just me being goofy about sports, right? But I'm not getting into his politics or anything. I just, it's just sports.
Yeah, I think
it really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
I mean, I think that Steph's going to play at a high level for maybe 2 more years, and then he'll start having enough physical drop-off that it's not going to matter anymore.
Yeah, he's had enough,
and he'll just be a great shooter for another 5 after that. He'll probably retire at 44.
It's time for a career-ending injury. It's fine.
Come on.
No more baby Steffi.
We need him out of the way, though, so De'Aaron and the Kings can actually take over. That's what we got to do.
Totally.
Yeah, that's
so. Take the guy on the end of the Kings bench and just like tackle him, like dislocate something, and then
Orlando Robinson, you're up,
right? And then just give Orlando Robinson a golden parachute as he gets kicked out of the NBA, right?
Forever, you know, they got into Steph Curry's career. Now you're famous forever too.
Right, yeah, totally. And you don't even have to play any more basketball. Here you go.
He just takes like a freaking lawnmower.
Here's $50 million now.
You on the court.
Yeah. And then it becomes rollerball. Yeah. There's a 70s
I'd like to hear the Mark Jones call. That's like, apparently Orlando Robinson has a lawnmower blade. Why does he have a? Oh my God!
And it looks like a compound fracture, folks. That's he just dropped a 30 piece of pain on. Yeah. Orlando Robinson's playing with his food, and looks like his food is bone marrow because Steph Curry has a compound fracture, folks.
We love Steph. He's good. I hope he lives to be 100.
Well, you love Steph.
Okay, I'm speaking for me and all the rest of humanity.
I don't give a shit.
So I'm only speaking for me and all the
baby Steph.
The 6.5 billion of the people on the planet. We're just speaking that, you know.
Yeah, you know what? Sports is great because it gives you it gives you a safe environment to be a hater.
Yeah, it's true. It's a victimless crime, no doubt about it.
It's a victimless crime.
Much like frequenting the Safe Credit Union on one. Actually, no, it's only victim if you pay extra.
Well, yeah. And you know what sucks is that,
it just writes itself, man. I know it's.
Well, you can't.
You told me
you can't actually say what you want, right? You have to fog up the monitor on the ATM and then write it with your finger to get service.
Can you imagine having that deep of a? I'm sorry, I'm not gonna.
Okay, so I don't even know what we were talking about anymore.
We've lost the plot. So okay, the last thing we're going to start wrapping up. So
slop economy sucks, but anyway,
and slop musicianship sucks. Slop playing, slop showing up. So, if you guys want to be a musician, and I gotta tell you,
and if you want
it's hard enough to be a musician and make a living at it. Period.
Yes.
Even under the best of circumstances, you're just kneecapping yourself, much like Orlando Robinson did to Steph Curry.
Yes.
If you don't show up on time and do what you say you're supposed to do, be prepared, have your chops together, have your.
Well, and that's also how to be a good student. Show up to your lesson on time. Be prepared, right? And
that's asking a lot, though, man. I gotta
just know that your teacher may never say so. But, remember, you're asking your teacher to listen. You might be asking your teacher to listen to some bad music.
Yep.
And make that bad music a part of their life.
We talked about before, bad taste in music can happen to anybody.
It can happen to anybody.
Any time in life.
It can strike. It totally can strike anyone, anywhere, at any time.
Anytime. You can have bad taste in music. You know what I mean?
Right. So just know that that's the patience that a good teacher has to have.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
And that's something that, any good guitar teacher or musician, drum teacher, I mean, that matters. But if you're a drum instructor, if you're a keyboardist, whatever, the same thing. I mean, professionalism is to say that matters. And honestly, I'll go even expand. I'm going to go global here. It's not even just in music. Anywhere you go, professionalism matters. You know what I mean? Even if you have what you consider to be like a menial job, like say you're a barista at Starbucks, you still need to be courteous and professional.
You're going to have to do stuff that you don't prefer to do, and that's why it's called work.
Yes, that's why you're getting paid for it.
Yep.
You know what makes you feel better about it? The paycheck. That's what makes you feel better about it.
Totally. And you know what? Part of the fun, part of the art is when someone does want to learn something crappy, part of the art form is taking that as a jumping off point and then leading that person to something that's not crappy.
I thought for sure you were going to say take that as an opportunity to destroy their entire personality.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's
to
that
devastate them down to the core and rebuild them in your
own personality. So anyway, just trying to give our listeners just an insight into, trying to be totally open.
That's the quiet battles that we fight every day. That we're trying to talk about. You know what I mean? It's really true.
And that's why we must go commune with King Diamond and Lord Satan to
enjoy that,
recharge our batteries. I will.
Have a great time. So
when we podcast again, I'll have a full King Diamond concert
report.
Yes, concert report.
Make sure it's notated. I want an MLA.
Yeah, well, it'll be written in blood.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yes.
Pig's blood, though, preferably.
Well,
or at least the blood of the innocent.
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to go human, but pig's blood.
Blood of the innocent's good.
What did the pig ever do? They're tasty, though.
They had it coming. That's what it was.
Right.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to the Rock Guitar Confidential Podcast with Ryan and Scott. Please make sure to check out our website at www.xagesband.com. Ryan, what is that again?
That's www.exagesband.com.
And there you'll find links to our social media. Please make sure to follow us on social media. That would be Instagram, Facebook, and X, which I finally accepted. It's called X now. And make sure to follow us to find out anything cool about what's going on with us and get updates on the podcasts, any album releases, all that kind of stuff. Hope you guys are all doing well. Catch you next week. Thanks for listening.
Peace.